The bride heard the groom's confession minutes before the wedding. Her revenge surprised everyone. Valentina Miller felt her legs trembling while she adjusted her veil for the last time in the sacristy room. In a few minutes, she would walk toward the altar of St. Peter's Church, in the center of Aspen, to marry Alexander Sterling, the man she had loved for 3 years. It was then that she heard voices in the hallway. The door was ajar, and she instantly recognized the groom's loud laugh. Curious, she approached slowly to listen. "Hey, are you sure this is going to turn out well?" It was the voice of Julian, the best man. "Of course it is, buddy. Valentina is madly in love with me. After we get married, it will only be a matter of time before I convince her to give me power over her father's businesses." Alexander responded with a coldness that she had never noticed before. Valentina felt the world collapsing. She leaned against the wall so as not to fall. "And if she suspects something?" asked the other groomsman. Dylan. Valentina is too naive. She believes I am her Prince Charming. When I get the power of attorney, I will sell some properties of old Richard. He won't even notice. He is too busy with his companies to check every document he signs." The laughs echoed in the hallway like stabs in Valentina's heart. She took her hand to her chest, feeling her heart racing. 3 years of relationship, 3 years of plans. Everything was a lie. "But will you stay married to her afterward?" Julian insisted. "For now, yes. I need total access to her assets. After, well, accidents happen, don't they?" Alexander laughed again, and Valentina had to cover her mouth so as not to scream. "Alexander, man, you are serious!" Dylan seemed uncomfortable. "Relax, Dylan. Nothing will happen to her. I will only divorce when I have what I need. I'll say we grew apart, that it didn't work. She will stay with a broken little heart, but she will get over it. Women always get over it." Valentina leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. Her hands trembled so much, she almost dropped the bouquet of white roses. How had she not realized? How had she been so blind? "And the debts?" Julian asked in a low voice. "Ah, those I will pay fast with her money. I owe almost $200,000 to the casino people. They are getting impatient, you know. But after today, problem solved. $200,000. Casino." Valentina never knew that Alexander gambled. He always said he worked until late in the accounting office. In reality, he was losing money in the game. "Do you think anyone suspects?" Alexander lowered his voice. "Richard seems to trust you, and Mrs. Patricia adores you," Dylan responded. "Valentina's mom is easy to fool. She always wanted to see her daughter married. And the father, well, he is smart. But he is so happy to see his daughter fulfilled that he doesn't suspect anything." Valentina closed her eyes. Her parents really loved Alexander very much. He knew exactly how to behave in front of them. Always kind, always helpful, always interested in the family's businesses. "And if we go now?" Julian suggested nervously. "There is still time to cancel all this." "Cancel? Are you crazy? I've been planning this for 2 years, since I discovered Richard Miller is worth more than $5 million. His daughter is my entry to that money." 2 years. He had planned it for 2 years. Valentina remembered when they met at the mall. Alexander had tripped over her in the food court, spilled her coffee, and offered to buy her another one. He seemed so tender, so genuine. Everything was calculated. "Guys, it's time. The music already started," Dylan warned. "Ready. Let's pretend we are happy then." Alexander laughed once more. The footsteps moved away down the hallway. Valentina stayed alone, listening only to the sound of her own heart beating without control and the wedding march starting to sound in the church. She looked at herself in the sacristy mirror, the white dress that cost $15,000, chosen with such affection during months of preparation. The great-grandmother's veil, passed from generation to generation in the Miller family. The perfect makeup, done by the best professional in the city. All for a man who only wanted her money. Valentina breathed deep and dried the tears that were starting to fall. No, she would not collapse. She would not give Alexander Sterling the pleasure. If he wanted to play dirty, she also knew how to do it. The cell phone vibrated, a message from her younger sister. "Val, where are you? Everyone is waiting for you." Valentina responded, "I'm coming, Sophia." She kept the phone, adjusted the veil and the bouquet. She smiled at the mirror, rehearsing the expression she would use from now on. Did Alexander want a passionate and naive bride? That was exactly what he would have, but his revenge would be something he never imagined. Valentina came out of the sacristy and walked through the hallway of the church. The guests turned to admire her. Whispers of approval filled the environment. She greeted and smiled, interpreting to perfection the role of the radiant bride. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, don't forget to give a like, and above all, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot who are starting out. Now, let's continue. They're at the front. Alexander waited for her by the altar. When their looks met, he smiled in that way that before made her melt. Now she knew that everything was theater. Richard Miller, her father, waited for her to take her to the altar. At 60 years old, he had built an empire of 3 gas stations and 2 coffee shops in the city. Simple man who started washing cars and arrived up to where he was with much work. "My princess, you are beautiful," said Richard, offering her the arm. "Thanks, Dad." Valentina took his arm, trying to control the voice. While they walked through the nave of the church, she observed the known faces. From the side of her family, uncles, cousins, childhood friends. From the side of Alexander, much fewer people. His mother, Mrs. Carmen, who always treated her with coldness disguised as politeness. Some relatives and friends. Julian and Dylan were near the altar, trying to look normal. When Dylan saw her arrive, he lowered the look, clearly uncomfortable. At least one of them had conscience. Alexander continued smiling, with that pose of excited groom. What a talented actor. When they arrived at the altar, Richard kissed the forehead of his daughter and handed her hand to Alexander. "Take good care of her," said Richard, looking him in the eyes. "Always, Mr. Richard. She is the love of my life," responded Alexander, squeezing Valentina's hand. If she didn't know the truth, she would have been moved. Now she felt disgust. Father Michael, who baptized her as a small child, began the ceremony. Valentina disconnected during the first parts, concentrated on organizing mentally what she would do. "We are gathered here to celebrate the union of Valentina and Alexander," said the father. "Marriage is a sacred institution, based on love, respect, and mutual sincerity." Sincerity? What a cruel joke. "Alexander, do you accept Valentina as your legitimate wife? Do you promise to love her and respect her in joy and in sadness, in health and in sickness, in wealth and in poverty, all the days of your life?" "I accept," said Alexander, looking her deeply in the eyes. "Valentina, do you accept Alexander as your legitimate husband? Do you promise to love him and respect him in joy and in sadness, in health and in sickness, in wealth and in poverty, all the days of your life?" Valentina made a pause of a second, felt all the looks over her. Alexander squeezed her hand, but she noticed the tension behind his smile. "I accept," she responded, and saw the relief on his face. Before proceeding with the exchange of rings, the couple wished to make a personal declaration, announced the father. Valentina had planned it weeks before, when she still believed in their love. Now it would be useful in another way. Alexander began first. Valentina, when I met you that day at the mall, I knew that my life had changed forever. You brought light, joy, and purpose to my days. I promise to be the husband you deserve, to take care of you, and to build our family with all the love I have in the heart. Some guests were moved. Valentina smiled, but inside she thought in how he lied with such naturalness. It was her turn. Alexander, our relationship taught me much about trust, about delivering my heart completely to someone. Today, here in front of our family and friends, I want you to know that I know you truly. I know your dreams, your fears, your ambitions, and I promise to be at your side, without importing the challenges we face together. She noticed Julian and Dylan exchanging quick looks. Alexander squeezed her hand again, but she felt it was slightly sweaty. Now we will proceed to the exchange of the rings, said the father. Alexander took his ring and slid it in her finger. With this ring, I wed you and promise to love you forever. Valentina did the same. With this ring, I wed you and promise to love you forever. The words had a bitter taste in her mouth. By the power that has been conferred to me, I declare you husband and wife. Alexander, you can kiss the bride. Alexander approached and kissed her. It was a kiss she had dreamed of for months, but now it seemed mechanical and fake. The guests applauded and shouted. The wedding march recommenced, higher and more festive. Valentina and Alexander walked back through the nave, receiving congratulations and rose petals thrown by the family. Outside the church, the photos began. Valentina smiled and posed, representing perfectly the happy bride. She had to admit that Alexander also was convincing, embracing her affectionately for the photos. You look beautiful together, said the photographer. It shows that you love each other much. Thanks, responded Valentina. We really love each other much, right, love? Too much, agreed Alexander, kissing her forehead. During the photos, Valentina began to observe more attentively the guests. Her family was radiant. Patricia, her mother, cried of emotion when chatting with her friends. Richard greeted everyone, proud of his daughter. From the side of Alexander, the environment was different. Mrs. Carmen forced smiles, but Valentina noticed that she whispered with some people, making comments that seemed malicious. Sophia, her 20-year-old sister, law student, approached during a pause in the photos. Val, are you okay? You look a bit weird. I'm perfect, Sophia. Why do you say it? I don't know. You're different, very controlled. Valentina embraced her sister. They are just nerves. Everything is perfect. But Sophia continued looking at her with that inquisitive expression that she developed in the university. After the photos, everyone headed to the ballroom of the Hacienda Real Hotel, the most elegant in Aspen. Valentina had dreamed with this reception for months, planning each detail with the most renowned event organizer of the region. The hall was decorated with white roses and green foliage. Golden lights created a magic environment. 250 guests settled in the round tables, covered with imported linen tablecloths. During the cocktail, Valentina circulated among the guests, receiving congratulations and embraces. She maintained the smile and responded to all the questions about plans for the honeymoon and children. But inside she analyzed each movement of Alexander. He chatted animatedly with the brothers-in-law, trying to impress with his knowledge about the businesses of the family. He talked about expanding the coffee shops, modernizing the gas stations, as if he were already part of the corporate plans of Richard. Valentina, dear, what a beautiful wedding, said Mrs. Louisa, childhood friend of her mother. Alexander is a very special young man. You will be very happy." "Thanks, Mrs. Louisa. He really is special." Special was an interesting word to describe someone who married for money. Patricia approached with the eyes still wet. "My daughter, I am so happy. I had never seen you so fulfilled." "Thanks, Mom. You and Dad made a perfect party. Alexander seems to get along well with everyone. Your dad was chatting with him about taking him to know the headquarters of the company next week." Valentina felt a knot in the stomach. Alexander was accelerating his plans. "How good," she said, maintaining the smile. When the time for the dinner arrived, Valentina was sitting in the head table together with Alexander. He held her hand over the table, stroking it with the thumb. Before, that gesture melted her. Now, it irritated her deeply. "You are gorgeous today," whispered Alexander in her ear. "I can't wait for our honeymoon." "Me neither," she lied. The honeymoon. 15 days in Spain. Gift of Richard for the newlyweds. 15 days alone with a man who only wanted to take advantage of her. The idea gave her nausea. During the dinner, Richard stood up to give the first speech. "Friends, family, many thanks for being here in this so special day. Valentina always has been the light of our home, a sweet and intelligent girl who turned into a wonderful woman. Alexander, you are winning an incredible wife. And Valentina, you chose a good, hard-working man and who clearly loves you much." The guests applauded. Valentina smiled and greeted, while Alexander stood up to embrace his father-in-law. "Thanks, Mr. Richard. I promise to take good care of Valentina, and I hope to learn much from you in the business. Who knows if I can help to expand even more the companies of the family." Richard smiled, clearly satisfied with the attitude of his son-in-law. If he only knew. When it was the turn of Alexander to speak, he stood up and took the microphone. "People, I want to thank everyone for being here today, especially to Mr. Richard and Mrs. Patricia, for receiving me as a son. Valentina, you have made me the happiest man in the world. I promise to pass the rest of my life making you smile." More soft and well-elaborated lies. Valentina applauded together with everyone, while he kissed her again. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, don't forget to give a like, and above all, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot, who are starting out. Now, continuing. After the speeches, the music began. The first dance would be with a song they chose together. Valentina remembered when they heard it for the first time, embraced in the sofa of her living room. Alexander said that the lyrics were perfect for them. Now, dancing in the center of the hall, with all the looks over them, Valentina felt as if she acted in a theatrical play. "You are tense," whispered Alexander while they danced. "Just nervous," she responded. "There is so much people watching." "Relax, everything is perfect. Our life is beginning. Our life." Valentina almost laughed at the irony. When the music finished, other couples joined the floor. Valentina danced with her father, who was radiant. "My princess, you took the right decision. Alexander is a good boy." "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Of course, daughter." "Do you really plan to involve him in the business?" Richard stopped dancing for a second. "Why do you ask it?" "Curiosity. He seems very interested. Well, now he is family, and seems to have good ideas. Why not?" Valentina forced a smile. "It just seemed very fast to me." "Daughter, when you love someone, you desire to include him in everything. It's normal." If her father knew that his son-in-law only wanted to include him to rob him. After dancing with Richard, Valentina went to dance with Julian, who seemed extremely uncomfortable. "Julian, are you okay? You look nervous." "Ah, yes. I'm not very good at parties." How weird. You always were extroverted. Julian avoided her look. Yes, maybe they are the nerves of the wedding. The responsibility of being best man, you know? I understand. It must be difficult when you know things you can't tell. Julian tripped slightly. How so? Nothing specific. I just noticed that today you seem to keep some secret. No. Everything is normal. But his nervousness was obvious. Valentina decided to press a little more. Julian, you guys are friends since long ago, right? Since school. Tell me, was he always like this? Ambitious? Ambitious how? Interested in money, in progressing quickly. Julian stopped dancing and looked at her directly. Valentina, why do you ask that? Just curiosity about my husband. I want to know him better through his friends. Look, Alexander, he is complicated sometimes. Complicated how? Julian looked around, ensuring that Alexander wasn't near. Listen, maybe it's better to talk another day. When what? When I'm already married and it's too late? Julian's face paled. Valentina, You what, Julian? He breathed deep. I tried to convince him. I tried to tell him that this was wrong, but he doesn't listen to me. Valentina stopped dancing completely. What are you talking about? You heard it, didn't you? That's why you make these questions. Hear what? The conversation in the sacristy. You were there. Valentina felt her heart accelerating. They had discovered her. But at the same time, Julian was confirming everything. And what do you plan to do with that information? He asked, clearly terrified. Still, I don't know, she responded with honesty. But I know that I won't let him use me. Valentina, for the love of God, don't make a scandal here. There are 200 people. Don't worry, Julian. I don't plan to make a scandal. Then, what will you do? Valentina smiled sincerely, for the first time since the morning. Something that he would never imagine. The music finished and they separated. Julian went straight to talk with Alexander, who conversed with some uncles of Valentina. She saw how the two whispered with urgency, Alexander looking toward her with worried expression. Sophia approached. Val, what did you say to Julian? It seems he saw a ghost. Just talk between in-laws, responded Valentina. In-laws nothing. Something weird is happening. First you act weird, but now the best man of your husband seems terrified. What is happening? Valentina looked at her sister. Sophia was intelligent. She studied law. Maybe she could help her. Sophia, can you do me a favor without making questions? Depends on the favor. I need you to look for information about Alexander. Discreetly. What type of information? Finances, debts, history. You have access to those databases of the university, right? Sophia opened the eyes. Valentina, what story is this? Did you discover something about him? Please, Sophia, just trust me and don't tell anything to our parents yet. Yet? Valentina, you are scaring me. Do you promise me that you will do it? Sophia hesitated. All right, but afterward, you tell me everything. I promise. Alexander approached to the two with a forced smile. What are you two talking so serious? Baby plans, lied Valentina quickly. Sophia asked when we think to have babies. Ah, yes. We want to wait a couple of years, said Alexander, relaxing visibly. Yes. First we want to stabilize ourselves economically, completed Valentina, observing his reaction. Alexander smiled and surrounded her waist. Exact. I want to ensure that our family has all the security of the world. Security? With her money? Sophia observed them with that analytical look again. Well, I leave you chatting. I have to go with Grandma Pilar. When Sophia moved away, Alexander took firmly the arm of Valentina. What did you say to Julian? Nothing important. Why? He seems nervous. Maybe just... They are the normal nerves of the wedding. You know how he gets anxious in social events. Alexander looked at her for a moment. Today you look different. Different how? I don't know. More distant. Valentina approached to him and gave him a kiss in the cheek. It's just the exhaustion, love. It was a long day, but I'm happy. Sure? But Alexander continued looking at her with distrust. In that moment, Richard approached. Alexander, come. I want to present you to Henry Gonzalez, my accountant. You guys are going to work together from now on. Of course, Mr. Richard. Alexander smiled, but Valentina noticed the anxiety in his eyes. While they talked with the accountant, Valentina went to the bathroom to breathe a little. She needed to think in the next step. In the bathroom, she met with Mrs. Carmen, the mother of Alexander, retouching the makeup. Valentina, dear, what a beautiful party, she said, but her tone didn't sound sincere. Thanks, Mrs. Carmen. I hope that you are very happy. Alexander deserves a good life after the problems he had. Valentina stopped washing the hands. What problems? Mrs. Carmen seemed to have overstepped the line. There is nothing important, just some economic difficulties that all young people pass. What type of difficulties? Well, you know, loans, credit cards, nothing that a good marriage doesn't fix. The coldness with which she said it made that Valentina understood that the mother knew of the plans of her son. I understand, responded Valentina simply. I am sure that you guys will help each other mutually. After all, for that is the marriage, right? Share responsibilities and resources. Resources. What an interesting word. Of course, Mrs. Carmen. When Valentina returned to the hall, the party was in its peak. The people danced, conversed animatedly, had fun. It was a surreal contrast with the whirlwind that passed through her head. Dylan approached while she took a glass of champagne. Valentina, can I talk with you a moment? Sure. They separated to a more private corner. I know that you heard our conversation this morning. Valentina decided not to deny it. And what? I tried to convince Alexander to not do it. You need to know that. Why do you tell it to me? Because I already can't pretend that everything is okay. He is my friend, but this is very wrong. And what do you suggest that I do? I don't know. Maybe you guys can talk. Maybe he changes opinion. Valentina almost laughed. Dylan, you heard the same that I did. He has planned it for 2 years. It's not something he is going to regret. Then what will you do? Still, I am deciding it. Please don't destroy him in public. I know that he deserves it, but what? He has serious problems with certain people. If he loses this opportunity, what people? Dylan lowered even more the voice. People who lent him money. People who don't play. Valentina felt a chill. Alexander not only was in debt, he was in danger. How much does he owe? Much. More than 200,000. And if he doesn't pay? Dylan only moved the head, leaving the implication in the air. Valentina kept silence a moment, processing the new information. Alexander was not only a greedy scammer, he was a desperate man. Dylan, thanks for telling me this. You won't do anything drastic, right? I promise that I will think it well before acting. When Dylan moved away, Valentina stayed alone with her thoughts. The situation was more complex than she imagined. Alexander was in real danger, and that explained part of his desperation. But it didn't justify wanting to trick her and use her family. Sophia appeared at her side. Val, I got preliminary information. How? Already? I have a friend who works in a law firm. I made some discreet calls. And? Alexander has the name stained since long ago, more than a year. Several overdue debts, protests, a very complicated history. Anything else? There are lawsuits against him, people collecting money, and it seems that he already had tried to approach other rich families of the region before meeting you. Valentina felt that the blood froze. Other families? Yes. He was engaged with a girl from Denver last year, but her father discovered something and canceled everything at last minute. Sophia, are you sure of this? I have the name of the family if you want to investigate more. Then Alexander was a professional scammer. Valentina was not his first victim, and probably wouldn't be the last if he achieved to trick her. Sophia, I need you to do me another favor. Tell me, can you find out who are his creditors, the people to whom he owes money? I can try, but Val, this is getting dangerous. Maybe it's better that you simply ask for the divorce and… No. If I do that, he will continue trying to apply the same deceit to other women. And besides, he could try to take revenge of our family in some way. Then, what do you think to do? Valentina looked toward Alexander, who conversed animatedly with Richard about the business plans. I'm going to give him exactly what he wants, but not as he expects. I don't understand. Still, I am assembling the plan, but trust me. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, don't forget to give a like, and above all, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot, who are starting out. Now let's continue. The rest of the night passed in a mist of fake smiles and acting. Valentina danced, conversed, took photos, always maintaining the facade of happy bride. Alexander also continued with his acting, but she noticed that he was each time more anxious for the party to finish. Near midnight, the preparations began for the traditional hour of leaving. Valentina threw the bouquet, which was caught by a single cousin. She and Alexander cut the cake again for the last photos. Finally, the moment arrived to go to the bridal suite in the same hotel. Richard and Patricia said goodbye with tears in the eyes. My daughter, be very happy, said Patricia. Take care of each other much, added Richard, embracing Alexander as a son. If they knew. In the elevator of the hotel, Alexander finally relaxed. Ugh, it already finished. He was tired of faking happiness. Valentina looked at him surprised. Faking? Alexander realized of what he had said and tried to correct himself. No, I don't refer to that. It's that the parties tire, right? Many people, much noise. But now, it's only the two of us. Yes, it's only the two of us, repeated Valentina with a tone that he didn't understand. In the suite, Alexander went straight to the bathroom to shower. Valentina took advantage to take her cell phone and send a message to Sophia. I need all the information that you can get for tomorrow. It's urgent. The response arrived fast. I'm on it. But Val, be careful. These people don't play. Valentina kept the cell phone when Alexander came out of the bathroom. He approached to her with that seductive smile that before turned her crazy. Finally alone, Mrs. Sterling. Mrs. Sterling, repeated she. Still, it sounds weird. You'll get used, said he, trying to kiss her. Valentina separated gently. Alexander, I am exhausted. What if we leave it for tomorrow? His expression changed quickly. Seriously? In our first night of married? It's just that it was a very intense day. I need to process everything. Alexander got irritated visibly, but tried to dissimulate. All right, I understand. But she knew that he didn't understand. Probably he was planning how to accelerate his plans to access her assets, and a distant wife didn't help. Valentina went to the bathroom and stayed a while alone, ordering her thoughts. When she came out, Alexander already was asleep, or faked to be. She lied down on the other side of the bed, the furthest possible from him. It was weird being there, married with a man that she didn't know really, in a bed that should be the beginning of a happy life. The next morning, Alexander woke up with good mood. "Good morning, wife," said he, kissing her face. "Good morning," responded she, sleepy. "What if we have breakfast in the room? We can take advantage to talk about our plans." "What plans?" "Well, now that we are married, we must think in the future. Own house, investments. Maybe I can help your dad with the business." There it came. "Alexander, don't you believe that it's very soon for that? We just got married." "Soon?" "Valentina, planning never is too soon. By the way, your dad mentioned yesterday that he wants to take me to know the headquarters on Monday. And you already accepted? Of course, it's an incredible opportunity to learn from the family business. Family. As if he really mattered, the family." The cell phone of Valentina vibrated. A message from Sophia. "I got more information. We must talk urgent." "Who is it?" asked Alexander. "Sophia thanks me for the party." "Oh, how sweet. Your sister is cool." And if he knew that Sophia was investigating him. "Alexander, I'm going to shower, and then we go down to have breakfast." "Good?" "Perfect. I'll take advantage to call the boys and thank them for the party." In the bathroom, Valentina called Sophia. "Hello? Val, I discovered grave things. Alexander owes them money to very dangerous people, and they are not only 200,000. They are almost 500,000. 500,000? Yes, and there is more. Really, he tried to apply the same fraud with at least 3 distinct families in the last 2 years. How so? Always the same scheme. He approaches to the daughter of rich entrepreneurs, conquers the family, marries, and tries to access to the assets. In the first family, the dad realized in time. In the second, the bride suspected and finished everything. You are the third attempt. Valentina felt nausea. Sophia, are you sure of this? Totally. I talked with one of the ex-girlfriends. She told me everything. And the creditors? They are people involved in illegal games, clandestine casinos, sports bets. Alexander has a serious vice, Val. And if he doesn't pay? The ex-girlfriend said that they already have threatened him several times. For that reason, he is so desperate. Valentina kept silence, assimilating all the information. Val, are you there? I am, Sophia. Thanks for finding out all this. What are you going to do now? I will put in motion my plan. What plan? Afterward, I tell you. But I need one more thing. Tell me, can you find out exactly who are those creditors? Names, addresses, how to contact them. Valentina, that is very dangerous. Sophia, trust me. I won't do anything silly. All right, but promise me that you will tell me everything afterward. I promise you. When she hung up, Valentina stayed a moment looking herself at the mirror. Her reflection showed a determined woman, very different from the naive bride that Alexander believed to have conquered. She returned to the room and found Alexander at the phone. Yes, man, everything turned out perfect. Now, only it's a matter of time. No, she doesn't suspect anything. Monday I already start working with the father-in-law. Alexander noticed that she had arrived and hung up fast. It was Julian thanking for the party. How good, said Valentina, knowing perfectly that it was lie. During the breakfast in the restaurant of the hotel, Alexander was euphoric. Valentina, I am thinking, what if we cancel the honeymoon? How so? It's that your dad got very excited with the idea of teaching me the business. I don't want to lose this opportunity. Alexander, they are 15 days in Spain. My parents paid everything. I know, but we can go another day. Now is the perfect moment to establish myself in the company. Valentina observed him. He was so anxious for starting to rob that he couldn't even wait 2 weeks. All right, said she, if that is what you want. Alexander smiled, radiant. He knew that you would understand. Now we are a team. Team? What a joke. After the breakfast, they returned home. Valentina lived in an apartment of 3 rooms that her parents had given to her when she graduated from the university. Alexander had moved there some weeks before the wedding, but maintained his old rented apartment. Love, I need to pass by my apartment to pick up some things, said Alexander. All right, I'll take advantage to rest a little. Perfect. I return in some hours. As soon as Alexander left, Valentina called Sophia. He already left. Can you come? I am on my way. 30 minutes later, Sophia arrived with a folder full of documents. Val, I got much more information. Sit, because it's too much. Tell me. First, the creditors. They are people really dangerous. Already they have broken the legs to some debtors. Alexander is very scared. Continue. Second, I discovered that he has more debts besides the bets. Loans with loan sharks, credit cards at the limit, overdue financings. In total, he owes more than $800,000. 800,000, my God, and there is more. He lied about everything in his life. The accounting office where he says that he works, they fired him 6 months ago for suspicions of money diversion. So he is unemployed? Completely, and survives on small scams and loans. Valentina moved the head, incredulous. Anything else? Yes. His family also is in bankruptcy. His mom lost the house because Alexander asked for money, borrowed using her as guarantor. He destroyed his own family. For that reason, she was so interested in the wedding. Exact. For her, you are the salvation of the family. Valentina stood up and walked toward the window. Sophia, he is much more dangerous than what I thought. For that reason, I believe that you should leave immediately. Ask for the divorce. Get out of Aspen if necessary. No. Why not? Valentina turned to see her sister. Because if I do that, he will continue destroying other families, and he could try to take revenge of ours too. Then what is your plan? I'm going to give him exactly what he wants, access to the assets of the family. Valentina, are you crazy? Relax, let me explain you. Valentina sat again and took the hands of her sister. Alexander believes that I am a naive girl and in love, right? Yes. So I will continue being that girl. I will help him to get access to the businesses of Dad. Even I will suggest him to sign powers and important documents. Still, I don't understand. Sophia, you are studying law. What happens when someone signs fraudulent documents or tries to rob from a company? Sophia opened the eyes. They go to jail for scam, fraud. Exact. And if that person is in debt with criminals, having criminal records won't help much his situation, right? Valentina, do you want him arrested? I want him caught red-handed trying to rob us, with enough proofs to ensure that never more he does this to anyone. But it's dangerous. And if he realizes, he won't do it. He underestimates me too much. Sophia reflected a moment. And his creditors? Ah, of that I have another plan. Valentina smiled. I will make a deal with them. How? I will search them and propose them to pay the debt of Alexander. In exchange, they will do some things for me. What things? When I have proofs that he tried to rob us, I will deliver them to the authorities. But before, I will give him a lesson that never he will forget. Sophia moved the head. This is very risky, Val. Maybe, but it's the only way to ensure that never more he hurts anyone. Alexander underestimates me, and that is my biggest advantage. Sophia sighed. All right, what do you need that I do? First, I want all the details of the creditors, names, addresses, how to contact them. Second, I want that you help me to document everything that he does in the next days. Document how? Recordings, photos, copies of documents, everything that proves that he is trying to trick me. And are you sure that you want to arrive up to the end with this? Valentina looked through the window again. From the apartment, she could see the company of her father in the center of the city. 3 generations of honest work that Alexander wanted to destroy in some weeks. I am sure. Alexander returned at the end of the afternoon, carrying 2 suitcases. Hello, love. I brought the rest of my things. How good. Now officially we live together. Yes. Alexander seemed to doubt. Valentina, can we talk about something? Sure. About what is it about? It's about money. I am a bit tight right now. There it came. Tight how? Some overdue bills of the previous apartment, you know, nothing grave. But I thought, since we are married, maybe we could unify our finances. Unify how? Well, put everything in a joint account, so it will be easier to manage it. Valentina faked to consider. It has sense, but don't you believe that it's very soon? Valentina, we are husband and wife. What's mine is yours, and vice versa. All right, tomorrow we can go to the bank to fix that. Alexander smiled, relieved. Perfect. And about working with your dad? What happens? He wants to take me tomorrow, same to know the company. I am very excited. How good. For sure it will go very well for you. I believe so. By the way, I thought, could your dad give me a power to sign some documents? To aggrandize the procedures? A power? Don't you believe that it's soon for that? It's that I really want to help. And if he is on a trip or busy, I could resolve some things for him. Valentina faked to reflect. It has logic. I will talk with him. Alexander embraced her. I knew that you would understand me. We are a true team. That night, while Alexander slept, Valentina sent messages to Sophia to organize the next steps of the plan. Also, she searched in internet about the creditors of Alexander and found worrying information. The next morning, Alexander woke up excited. Today is my first day working with your dad. I am nervous. Everything will turn out well, said Valentina, preparing coffee. My dad is very enthusiastic with your ideas. Speaking of that, did you talk with him about the power? Not yet, but I will try it today. Perfect. When Alexander came out toward the company, Valentina called Richard. Dad, can I talk with you? Sure, daughter. Did something happen? No, nothing grave. It's about Alexander. What happens with him? Everything good? Yes. It's that he is very enthusiastic for helping in the business. Even he asked if you could give him a power to aggrandize some procedures. There was a pause on the other side. A power? Daughter, barely he starts to work with me. Don't you believe that it's very soon? I told him the same, but he insisted in that he really wants to help. Let me think about it. For now, I will teach him the basic. Sure, Dad, there is no hurry. Valentina, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Are you okay? Since the wedding, you look different. Valentina breathed deep. I am okay, Dad. They are many changes at once. I understand. If you need something, here I am. Thanks, Dad. Upon hanging up, Valentina got ready to come out. She had an appointment with one of the people to whom Alexander owed money. The encounter was in a cafe of the center. Valentina arrived at noon and searched for a man of 40 years old, gray-haired, called Ramirez. Are you Valentina? Asked he when approaching. Yes. Are you Ramirez? The same. Sit down. Ramirez didn't look like the dangerous criminal that Valentina imagined. He was a common man, dressed simple, who would pass for any merchant. "So you are the wife of Alexander," said he, stirring the coffee. "That's how it is. And do you want to pay his debts?" "That's how it is, but with some conditions." Ramirez laughed. "Conditions? Girl, you are not in position of putting conditions." "Yes, I am. You guys want the money. I have the money. But I need some things in exchange." "What things?" Valentina breathed deep. "I need that you guys pressure Alexander some days more. Don't do anything violent. Just keep him scared." "And why do you want that?" "Let's say that I'm planning to give him a lesson." Ramirez studied her a moment. "You discovered that he married with you for money, right?" "How do you know it?" "Girl, a man who owes $800,000 doesn't marry for love. He marries for necessity." $800,000? Does he owe all that to you guys? To us and to other 5 people. Alexander got in many problems. And if I pay everything, then he stays free. But before, can you guys help me with something? Depends. Valentina told to Ramirez about her plans of catching Alexander robbing from the family. Ramirez heard everything with attention. "Interesting," said he at the end. "And do you believe that this will function?" "I am sure." "And what do you gain with that?" "The certainty that nevermore he will hurt anyone." Ramirez reflected. "All right, let's do this. I give you 5 days to get the proofs. Meanwhile, we continue pressuring him. Afterward, you pay the debt, and we disappear from his lives. Deal. But if something turns out wrong, if he discovers what you do, we don't make ourselves responsible." "Understood." Ramirez stood up to leave. "A question. Why don't you just ask for the divorce and that's it? Not only for me, but for all the women he tried to trick. Are you brave or very stupid?" "Maybe the two." When Valentina arrived at home, Alexander already was there, nervous. "How did it go for you the first day?" asked she. "Well, complicated." "Why?" "Your father is very cautious. He didn't leave me do anything important yet. It's normal. First he needs to trust in you." "I know, but Val, that thing about the authorization. What happens? Did you talk with him?" "Yes, he said that he will think about it." Alexander seemed frustrated. He expected a response more positive. "Alexander, relax. They are only some days. Soon he will give you more responsibilities." "It's that, well, I have some pressures. People collecting old debts." "What debts?" Alexander doubted. "Nothing grave, just pending accounts." "How much do you owe?" "It's not much. Some 20, 30,000. More lies. He owed almost $1 million and said that they were 30,000. "Alexander, why didn't you tell me it before?" "I didn't want to worry you. I thought that with my new work, I would resolve it fast." "Can I help you?" "Seriously?" "Of course. We are spouses. Your problems are mine." Alexander embraced her. "Val, you are incredible. I knew that I took the right decision." "Right decision? If he knew." "How much do you need exactly?" "Well, maybe some 50,000. To pay everything and be quiet." 50,000 of $1 million. He lied shamelessly. "Okay, tomorrow I transfer them to you." "Seriously? Just like that?" "Alexander, I love you. I want that you be quiet to focus in the work." "You are perfect," said he, kissing her. Perfect to trick, he must have thought. That night, while Alexander slept, Valentina called Sophia. "How was the meeting?" asked her sister. "Better than expected. They will cooperate." "And Alexander?" "He is desperate. He asked me borrowed $50,000. 50,000 of $1 million? Exact. And tomorrow I will give them to him." "Why?" "To be the perfect wife. He needs to trust in me for the plan to function." "And the proofs?" "I am on it. Already he is asking to my dad that he gives him a power. It's a matter of time until he tries something more concrete. Valentina, are you sure of knowing what you are doing? I am. Trust in me. The next morning, Valentina went to the bank and transferred $50,000 to the account of Alexander. When he saw the transfer, almost he cries of relief. Valentina, very many thanks, and more. You don't know the weight that you took off from me. I imagine it. Now you can concentrate in the work. Exact. By the way, about that power, Alexander, my dad needs time. You understand it, right? I understand it, but Valentina, can I tell you something? I have some ideas for expanding the businesses of the family, but I need access to some documents for studying them better. What type of documents? Contracts with suppliers, account statements, that type of things. It's nothing out of the world. And for what do you need that? To understand better how the business functions, so I can suggest improvements. Valentina faked to consider. It has sense. I can ask to my dad that he gives you access to that information. Seriously, it would be perfect. But Alexander, do you promise that you will use that information only for studying? Of course. For what more would I use it? To rob, thought she. All right, I will talk with him today. Alexander kissed her excited. You are the best wife of the world. If he knew that he is digging his own tomb. Valentina called Richard. Dad, Alexander is very interested in understanding better the businesses. He asked if you could give him access to some documents for studying them. What documents? Contracts, account statements, those things. He wants to suggest improvements? Richard stayed pensive. Daughter, that is information very sensitive of the company. I know, Dad, but now he is family and seems really interested in helping. Let me talk with him first, see what type of ideas he has. Sure. Valentina, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Is this interest of Alexander in the businesses not being a bit too intense? Valentina faked surprise. How so? It's that he makes many questions about values, accounts, suppliers, for someone who barely starts. Dad, he just wants to impress you, demonstrate that he is dedicated. Maybe, but I'm going to be on the lookout. Sure, you have reason in being cautious. When Valentina hung up, she noticed that Richard already suspected. That was good and bad at same time. Good, because he would not be easily tricked. Bad, because he could discover her plans too. In the afternoon, Alexander returned from work, visibly frustrated. How did it go for you today? Asked Valentina. Your dad is being very cautious. Barely he leaves me see the basic documents. It's his personality. Always he has been like that. But how am I going to be able to help if I don't understand how the business functions? Give it time, Alexander. Only you have been there 2 days. Yes, but, Valentina, do you believe that your dad trusts in me? Of course he does. Why do you ask it? Today, he made me some weird questions about my interest in the figures of the company. Valentina dissimulated the worry. What type of questions? He asked why I wanted to know about the gains of the last years. He said that it wasn't relevant for my initial work. And what did you respond to him? That I wanted to understand the potential of growth. But he didn't seem convinced. Alexander, relax. My dad is distrustful by nature, so he has protected the company all these years. Yes, maybe you have reason. But Alexander continued worried, and Valentina knew that he was getting desperate. That night, the phone of Alexander rang. He responded nervous. Hello? Valentina could not hear what the person said on the other side, but she saw Alexander paling. I know. Yes, I know that the deadline is up. No. Still, I haven't got it. I need some days more. Alexander came out to the balcony to continue the conversation. When he returned, He was visibly altered. "Who was it?" asked Valentina. "Nobody." "Work problem?" "Problem. But if barely you have been working for 2 days. It's a matter of an old client of the office where I worked before. More lies." "Alexander, are you okay? You look nervous." "I am perfect, only tired." But he wasn't perfect. He was terrified. The next morning, Alexander came out early to work, more nervous than ever. "Valentina, will you talk today with your dad about the loan?" "I will do it. It's important, very important." "I understand. And if he asks for what is the money, what do I tell him? That it's for liquidating all our debts and starting a new life without financial worries?" "Okay." And after the exit of Alexander, Valentina called immediately to Richard. "Dad, he is desperate." "How so?" "He asked other 100,000 borrowed, and the deadline is Friday." "Friday? What deadline?" "The one from his creditors. If he doesn't pay by Friday, they will take drastic measures." "Valentina, this is getting very dangerous." "I know, Dad. For that reason, I must accelerate the plan." "What plan?" "I will give him the money today, but with one condition." "What condition?" "That he uses the power of attorney to make the transfer direct from the account of the company." "Valentina, that is very risky." "It's the only way to catch him red-handed, Dad. If he makes the transfer, we will have legal proof of attempt of robbery." Richard reflected. "And if he doesn't accept to do it for the company?" "He will accept. He is too desperate for questioning it." "All right, but I will monitor everything in real time." "Perfect." Valentina called Alexander. "Love, I talked with my dad about the loan." "And?" "He accepted lending us the money." Alexander sighed, relieved. "Thanks, Valentina. You saved my life." "But there is a condition." "What condition?" "He has a high amount. He wants that you make the transfer directly from the corporate account, so it will be easier for him to control the money." Alexander doubted. "From the account of the company?" "Yes." "He said that you have power of attorney, so you can make the transfer this afternoon." All right. It has sense. Can you do it today?" "Yes, I can." "To what account do I transfer the money?" "You can transfer it direct to your personal account. Afterward, you resolve the debts." "Perfect. Valentina, thanks, truly." "Nothing to mention, love." When Valentina hung up, she knew that she had put the plan in motion. Alexander was so desperate that he accepted doing exactly what she wanted. Use the power of attorney to transfer money from the company to his personal account. That would be enough evidence to sue him for fraud and embezzlement. She called Richard. "Dad, he accepted. He will make the transfer this afternoon." "Valentina, are you sure that you want to arrive up to the end with this?" "Absolutely. It's the only way to ensure that never more he hurts anyone." "All right. I'm going to monitor all the movements of the account." "And Dad?" "Yes. When he makes the transfer, can you call the police?" "I can. But, and you? Where will you be when it happens?" "I will be far. I don't want to be near when they arrest him." In the afternoon, Valentina came out of the house and went to a cafe in the center of the city. From there, she called Sophia. "Today is the day. Are you sure that it's what you want?" "Yes. Alexander will try to transfer $100,000 from the company today. When he does it, my dad will call the police." "And afterward?" "Afterward, they will arrest him for fraud. And never more he can do this to anyone." "Valentina, and if he tries to take revenge?" "He won't be able. He will be in the jail." At 4 in the afternoon, Richard called. "Daughter, he made the transfer." "How?" $100,000 from the corporate account to his personal account. I have all the vouchers." "And now?" "Now, I will call the police." "Dad, thanks for trusting in me. I hope that you know what you do." 1 hour afterward, Richard called again. The police went to the company. Alexander was arrested red-handed. How did he react? First, he tried to deny it. Afterward, he said that you had authorized him. But when I showed that the transfer was made with the power of attorney of the company, he could not explain it. And now? Now he will face charges for fraud and undue use of power of attorney. He could pass years in prison. Valentina felt a mix of relief and sadness. The plan had functioned, but it was sad to see the person with whom she dreamed to build a family being arrested. "Dad, can I go home now?" "You can." "But Valentina?" "Yes?" "You were very brave and very intelligent. You saved our family from a fraud that could be devastating." When Valentina arrived at home, she found Julian and Dylan waiting at the door. "Valentina, we heard about what happened," said Julian. "And?" "We want to apologize," said Dylan. "We knew that it was wrong, but we didn't have the courage of doing anything. And now what do you want to do?" "We want to testify against him," said Julian. "Tell all that we know about his plans." "Why?" "Because it's the correct thing, and because you showed a value that we didn't have." Valentina invited them to enter. During 2 hours, they told everything that they knew about the plans of Alexander, his debts, the previous frauds. Everything was recorded for being used as evidence in the trial. When they left, Valentina finally stayed alone. She sat on the sofa and cried, not of sadness, but of relief. She was free. 3 days afterward, Ramirez searched for her. "As we agreed, I came for the payment of the debts." "The debts of Alexander?" "Exact. You said that you would pay when you had proofs against him." "It's true, but now he is arrested. The debts already are not my responsibility." Ramirez smiled. "Girl, you are smarter than what I thought." "How so?" "You used us for pressuring him. You got the proofs that you wanted, and now you don't have to pay anything." "Exactly, that was it. Intelligent. Very intelligent. And you guys, what will you do now?" "Nothing. Alexander is prisoner. There is no way that he pays. We will consider the debt settled." "How so settled?" "The spectacle that you assembled was worth more than any payment. The guy married thinking that he would become rich and ended in the jail. It's a lesson that never he will forget." Ramirez stood up to leave. "Ah, and girl, yes? If someday you want to work with us, search for me. You have talent for this." "Thanks, but I pass." 2 weeks afterward, Valentina went to visit Alexander at the jail. He was thin, dejected, very different from the secure man who had married with her. "Why did you come?" asked he. "To talk." "About what?" "Already you got what you wanted. You ruined me completely." "Alexander, you only ruined yourself. I only gave you the opportunity of showing who you were in reality." "You knew it since the beginning, right? Since the day of the wedding." Alexander moved the head. "How did you realize? I heard you guys talking in the sacristy. And why didn't you confront me right there? Because I wanted to ensure that never more you would hurt anyone. And you achieved it. Congratulations. Alexander, already you had scammed other families. You could have continued if I hadn't done something. And what? Each one defends himself as he can. That doesn't justify ruining innocent lives." Alexander kept silence a moment. "Valentina, did you ever love me? I loved the person that you faked to be, but that person never existed. And if I changed? If I tried to be better? Alexander, you had many opportunities of being honest. You chose to lie in all. Yes, I suppose that you have reason." When Valentina came out of the jail, she felt that she closed a chapter of her life forever. 6 months afterward, Alexander was condemned to 4 years of prison. Julian and Dylan testified against him, same as the victims of his previous scams. Valentina asked for the divorce and returned to use her maiden surname. She continued living in the apartment, but she redecorated everything, erasing any trace of that period. Sophia graduated in law and started to work in the office that helped to investigate Alexander. Richard expanded his businesses, more cautious, but also more secure after overcoming the attempt of fraud. 1 year after the disastrous marriage, Valentina was in peace. She had learned to trust in her instincts, and never. She would let herself be carried only by the feelings. She was in the shopping mall, taking coffee in the same food court where she met Alexander, when a young man, well-dressed, tripped with her, spilling the coffee. "Sorry, what a disaster," said he with a charming smile. "Let me buy you another coffee." Valentina looked at him, observed his rehearsed smile, his expensive clothes, but something worn, his quick look around as if searching for something. "It's not necessary," responded she simply. "I insist. It's the minimum that I can do." "No thanks." And Valentina went away, leaving the man alone in the food court, probably wondering why his tactic hadn't functioned. She had learned to recognize the signals. 3 years afterward, Valentina met Martin, a veterinarian who took care of the pets of the employees of her father. Martin was simple, honest worker. He didn't have much money, but he had something that Alexander never had: character. They married in a small ceremony, only with the close family. Valentina used a simple dress. They bought the rings with the money that Martin had saved working the weekends. It wasn't the dream wedding that she had planned with Alexander. It was better. It was real. Alexander was released after fulfilling 2.5 years of sentence. He tried to search for Valentina, but she had changed number. She had moved from apartment. She didn't want to see him. She knew through third parties that he came out of the city. He tried to start again another place. She hoped sincerely that he had learned to be honest. But she knew that probably Alexander would continue being Alexander. And it was okay. Already, it wasn't her problem. On the night of her second marriage, Martin took her hands and said to her, "Valentina, I promise to be always honest with you, even if it's difficult, even if the truth hurts. And I promise to trust in you, but also I promise not to return, to close the eyes before signals that something goes wrong. Deal." And this time, she believed him, because this time, it was for real. Now tell me, what did you think of Valentina's revenge? Was it she who acted correctly when planning everything in this form? Leave me your sincere comment about how you would react in a situation like this. If you liked this story, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so as not to lose at other exciting stories like this.